Strap in, baby.
Run, rabbit, run. Dig that hole. Don't forget the sun, because it could burn you. Welcome to Sync Floyd, the podcast where we watch every movie ever made to see if it syncs up with Pink Floyd's 1973 magnum opus, The Dark Side of the Moon. My name is Gareth Blackler, and hooning around your farm in a covered up van, it's James Barron.
Welcome, Gareth. It is I, Count James Barron Vampire, ready to record a podcast with you. Welcome.
And this character's gonna stay for the whole hour and a half?
No, definitely not. Hi, how's it going? It's regular James Barron putting that vampire away forever.
Back into the coffin.
Yeah, back into the coffin with you, boy. You're done. Yeah, I'm here. Hi, how's it going? We're ready to talk about More Dark, a film that
Near Dark.
Near Dark? More Dark?
Yeah.
Near Dark makes more sense. I've written More Dark as my notes, so maybe that was just wishful thinking. Near Dark. That makes more sense. I'm getting near dark. I just want more dark in my life, Gareth. I want to just approach into the darkness. Getting real dark on the air.
So this movie is like it's quite hard to find. It's very like underground cult. People have heard of this movie, tend to love it. Someone's going to be like, finally, there's a podcast out about my favorite movie, Near Dark. They're going to click in and immediately the hosts don't know the name of the film.
Yeah, man. I'm fucking it up left and right. This is the curse of our show in that, like, we get so many details wrong. It must be an absolute nightmare for, like, people to, like, listen to and follow along, especially if it's a rare film. But, hey, we're giving you the experience of this film without having watched it. And, as always, our work is approximate at best. So, you know.
We're giving you what it was like to watch it with Pink Floyd. Like, if anyone, it's hard to hear. Every film obviously has in its soundtrack someone whispering the name of the film over and over again, but we're not getting to hear that.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I've corrected my notes. I've now got Near Dark in all capital letters. So rest easy, listeners, that my notes will be 100% accurate from here on out.
We're going to just look at the poster now because I'm really scared.
No, it's definitely Near Dark. You're right.
Dark.
Scared Dark.
Oh,
whoa. You afraid of the dark?
Am I afraid of the dark?
I think that's...
No.
Okay, that's good. I
don't like being out and about in it.
Nah.
I'd rather
wandering
see.
Out. Especially when there are vampires out in the darkness. That's a scary time.
Do you like vampires, James?
Typically, yeah. I'm a fan of the old vampire story. I like the like affectation that they have, their like whole aesthetic. I regularly get compared to a vampire if I like dress up for a fancy party or something. I think I just have that kind of aesthetic. But yeah, and that I like wear dark suits, I think. But, there are worse things to be compared to. Like, vampires are known for their, like, opulence and style above all else, really. Except for in this movie, where they're kind of, like, ruffian punks,
Yeah.
But I do love them. How did you find out about this film, Gareth? Where has this come from? Where has Near Dark emerged from?
Oh.
In the psyche?
Near Dark, for me, because I loved watching Point Break when we watched it
for
this show. Yeah, I believe episode 30.
Oh.
So I looked up other Catherine Bigelow films, and the one, I think this was 2 before Point Break, was a vampire western, and I was like, well, we're not going to not talk about the vampire western.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
So true. So this is the second Bigelow film that we've watched, right?
Yeah.
Could you say that it's Deuce Bigelow at the moment?
Oh, no.
I'm so sorry.
Wow. Joke of the millennium. That was...
Dreadful. I
just watched the trailer for Deuce Bigelow, European Gigolo last weekend.
Why,
just to check in.
Okay. As a potential venue or avenue for the podcast to venture down in the future, maybe?
I mean, if we have to cover every film ever made, we're going to unfortunately have to get there.
It's true.
very jarring use of American Idiot by Green Day in that trailer.
Lovely. Amazing. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I also watched the trailer for The Animal and I think The Hot Chick. I was really checking in on the Rob Schneider.
The Animal. That movie is a slog. Wow. Sorry, Rob. I'd love to have you on the pod, but damn, dude. What's going on in The Animal, man? Holy moly.
At least that one, like, it's Rob Schneider. He's an animal. That's pretty wacky.
Yeah.
Like,
he's like a scientist.
Deuce Bigelow's. No, he's just a regular schmuck who gets changed by a scientist who's played by that Australian actor, the one who's Australian and is in things. And it was Australian, but this time he's British.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Fair enough.
Yeah.
He's known for being Australian.
Which is, hey, that's more than we can say about ourselves. So
that's very true.
To that Australian
I'm known for being a vampire, and you're known for being a New Zealand comedian. So there you go.
That's how you pitch the show to your friends.
That's accurate. All right.
Vampire.
Near Dark. The vampire western. I was sold based on your description last week, but definitely never heard of this movie and went in fresh and blind with the old Floyd playing. So, I'm hype to talk about it. Are we ready to dive in, or have we got any more preamble-y stuff that we should cover, or no?
James, I took a day off work this week, and I ended up watching Near Dark during that, and then I had a lot of free time. Near Dark sent me on a little quest, and I don't know, is now the time to delve into the history of sexy vampires?
Please delve into the history of sexy vampires, Gareth. I'm ready.
Okay. My hands are in my hair. I'm like stressing out that I've got so much to say about it. So obviously you're watching this, and this is a film where there's like, the whole thing is that the main character falls for a vampire and like has to balance that against like, the eternal promise of the vampire.
Classic.
And you're like, how has this happened twice? How have there been this film and then 21 years later a little film called Twilight comes out?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, two very similar sexy vampires. But then you're watching this, you probably missed it because you only had the Floyd.
It's true.
Everyone has a deep southern accent. And I'm like, how did this happen twice? Where not only sexy vampires, but sexy southern vampires, 21 years before HBO's True Blood comes out.
Yo, so true.
Yeah,
so true.
And this film also comes out 2 months after some more sexy 80s vampires with The Lost Boys.
Yeah. Oh, man. The Lost Boys.
Yeah.
The Lost Boys actually shares a lot of DNA with this film, I think. Like, it's probably its closest cousin, I would say. Less of the old Western element, but a lot of the punk attitude.
Another interesting thing about this film is Catherine Bigelow didn't want to make a vampire film initially.
Oh, really?
She wanted to make a Western and then ended up mashing it up with something that was a little more popular.
A little more
genre.
So
she knew what was in the air, that sexy vampires were 1987's thing.
Yeah.
And many years later, True Blood and Twilight producers knew that was in the air. So I fell deep into a rabbit hole trying to find out what happened in 1987 and happened in 2008. What's the thing that combined the 2 years of the sexy vampires? And it's both years, huge financial crashes.
Oh my god.
Right?
That makes so much sense to me. That everyone, it's like there's definitely this is a causal effect and not just a correlation. Definitely, it's gonna be sexy vampires having a huge effect on the economy at every time that they reach their zeitgeist, their zenith. That everyone's just too caught up. They're too allured by the sex appeal of these vamps,
Yeah, you're up all night hunting for sexy vampires. You're not going to check your stocks are doing well.
No, you're not checking.
You're going
your
to trust a
portfolio.
real estate agent.
No, You got a portfolio of hot vamps in your area that you're checking out. You're checking them out, you know? You don't have time. That's the issue. That's what all the stockbrokers are doing. Bloody bloodsuckers. God.
Hey, there you go.
Man, there you go.
But it's not just those two. So 2000, like these. Oh, sorry, I'm just steamed on my sexy vampire facts.
You're right.
So we have this Black Monday, which was the name of the crash, which happens 2 weeks after Near Dark comes into cinemas.
Holy shit.
Yeah, people are that steamed up.
Man, they saw this flick and they were like, man, fuck everything. Tear it down.
Yeah.
They all turned into Severin and just like started knocking people down. God damn.
Yeah. And then, so obviously, you know, the world's governments must have all met and been like, right, we can't have this. They sealed the coffin on sexy vampires. And we're like, we'll deal with that in 21 years.
To be opened at another time until the curse is lifted.
Little do they know, as we all know, 1987 is the birth year of the actress Ashley Greene.
Okay.
And who does she play? Alice Cullen in Twilight.
Holy shit.
Yes, what? This is clear correlation. This has nothing to do with me going on the cast of Twilight and clicking through until I found someone born in 1987. This is all. But what's Alice Cullen's main ability?
I don't know. I've not seen most of the Twilight films.
Oh, which ones have you seen?
Can she like heal people? I've seen Breaking Dawn Part 1. And and I think I've seen the one before that, or like the second one.
Interesting.
I think it is. But that's it. Those are the.
I've seen the first one and the last one, and
oh wow! So together,
some of Breaking Dawn Part 1.
Okay, so together we make like a perfect Twilight watcher between us. We've got the coverage, totally. Yeah, but like there is just like individually we have very little knowledge.
Yeah. But yeah, Alice Cullen's main ability is to see the future. And what happens in the future? The year 2008 happens.
Oh shit, that's so true.
Right?
Oh man, it's just looming.
And one other true thing to bring us into 2008 being the year of the vampire is who releases their debut album?
Who?
Vampire Weekend.
No way. Oh my god. And they release it probably on the weekend.
Right?
Ridiculous. There's too many connections. All this red string keeps just like falling into place, Gareth.
Yeah.
And it's forming a large picture of Edward Cullen's face.
Oh,
you know, and I'm very worried about that and what that means for the pod.
Yeah. He's watching us. Maybe we're the protectors now. What fights vampires historically? Garlic?
Van Helsing. I think it's just regular dudes with like big beards. You know? That's what I think it is. They've got hats and coats and stuff. Vampire hunters. Yeah.
Oh no. So
there's like wooden stakes.
We started this podcast at the beginning of New Zealand's lockdown, right?
Yeah.
What did we both spend all of lockdown doing? Growing big beards.
That's so true. Oh man, I've been prepping to become a vampire hunter most of my life, honestly. Right. So that tracks for me personally.
And we couldn't like get good haircuts, so we're all wearing big hats as well, just like Van Helsing.
Yeah, I was going full Van Helsing. My beard was unkempt. Who played Van Helsing? Because he was the guy that I want to reference earlier, but I couldn't remember his name. So bad.
Hugh Jackman.
Hugh Jackman, famous Australian. There you go. Famous for being Australian. Shout outs to you, Hugh.
Yeah.
Oh my god. That's incredible. I loved that diversion, that digression into the vampire psychology and
oh man, I had to have a nap after all of this.
Yeah. I believe it. So you spent your day like you watched this and then you did a deep dive into vampire history and drew all these connections and just worked yourself up so much that you had to lie down. That is the true formation of a vampire hunter right there. That is your true calling is before you.
I don't know, because do you know when I had my nap?
I don't know, man. You tell me.
During the daytime, like a vampire.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
He's been bitten. He's turned. Oh, no.
You turned me, podcast.
Turn Undead, the podcast. Yeah. Look out. Oh, man.
Anyway, so that's where I lost my mind. So should we, and this is, I'm very proud I've just come up with this. Should we sink our teeth into how this movie matched up with Pink Floyd?
Delicious. Taste the blood of that joke. So good. Let's do it. Hell yeah.
I want taste. If I ever do like a solo show, I want taste the blood of these jokes to be on the back of the flyer.
It's very strong.
Yeah.
You can direct quote me on that, and they'll be like, "Who's this weirdo?
What does this mean?"
Taste the blood of these jokes. So good. There you go. It means It means very little. All right. Yeah. Let's go. Let's do it. Let's do the thing that we do. This movie starts with opening titles, as we usually would, and Speak to Me playing. This movie is produced or distributed by something called Dig, and I want to know, I want to know what's up with Dig, but I like that Dig is here. Dig's logo is just a big, like, gaudy lion, like MGM style, but like side on. Here he is. The Dig.
Do you reckon it's the same lion?
Probably, but in profile. They're like, when they were filming the MGM shots, they were filming the intro for MGM on the titles, you know. They had Dig was just off to the side getting their own little footage of this lion. Just a bit of rogue capture by Dig in the background.
Dig was pretending not to be filming, but just had its like phone out. Just like,
man. His phone. This old Donnie Dig out there with his Nokia, just capturing a bit of footage for his home releases, you know? I don't think any of that's true, but I do love it. So classic stuff at the start here. The movie starts with a mosquito biting down on some flesh, tasting the blood of the jokes, and gets slapped away, and our main character, Caleb, here, calls the mosquito a dumb suck. The first dialogue of this movie is the words dumb suck out of nowhere. I'm like, what the hell? What does that mean? I do love it as like an intro to a film, and also just as an expression to say, as soon as I get bitten by a mosquito when I next go on holiday, because it happens basically every year to me. I am a prime resource for the mosquitoes of New Zealand. They devour me every time I travel.
You got that good blood.
I do. I've got that.
You got that true blood.
I'm a true blood, that's for sure. Yeah. But yeah, I'm absolutely gonna say dumb suck every time.
Please don't.
Yeah. I'm watching these credits and these opening titles. So we got the sun setting super fast and all that. And who should appear? So there's a character named Loy in this movie. Who is the dad of Caleb here. Yeah. And he's played by a character, not by a character, by a real human man named Tim Thomason, which is the greatest name I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
Tim Thomason. Fantastic. I just want to know everything about him. And when you see him, you're like, yep, I get it. This man is definitely Tim Thomason. He's got like a rumpled. He's got a rumpled face, a big, strong, like almost like De Niro like qualities to his face, but like more country western inspired as a man. Yeah, at least in this role, obviously, but like definitely a like grouchy dad type. I'm into it, you know. Yeah, big fan of any character called Loy as well. So this is just my
it's like Lloyd, but you ran out of time.
Yeah, man. His name probably is Lloyd, but just out here in the West, everyone's just like, "What up, Loy?" And that's just like where they get to. Someone like misspoke once in a bar back in like 1955, and it's stuck forever. You know. Oh man, but I love it.
I can one up that name by one person. but unfortunately it involves diving back into my terrible research day.
The Sexy
So
Vampire
after watching
Diaries.
this movie, that's very good.
Yeah.
After watching this movie, I was like, well, I can't just go in unprepared. So in the year 2021, I started watching True Blood.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How is that going?
It's alright. There's one character I really don't like, and they keep cutting to him in the middle of like cool scenes of Bill and Sookie. And then it's just like this guy again. I'm like, okay, hurry up. And then we get back to the cool stuff.
Man.
But there's a man employed by True Blood to do their still photography, and his name is Jamie Trueblood.
Whoa, no. That's not okay. What?
Right?
That's like having like a character called Gossip Girl in Gossip Girl. Like,
Yeah.
that's not okay. It's like everyone's like, "Who's Gossip Girl?" And it's like, "Hi, my name's Jimmy Gossip Girl."
Yeah.
You know, I've just transferred here from out of state. What the fuck? This guy's name can't be True Blood unless his like everything's gonna revolve around him come season 19 or whatever True Blood gets up to. Like, it's the only way.
Yeah, unless he was like created as a tax dodge by the TV show True Blood. But I'm on his official website now, and he kept working. He did the poster photography for Jurassic World, Bumblebee.
Whoa.
He took a photo of Spider-Man at one point.
Did he? Oh, wow. Give it Peter Parker.
Apparently, I'm just clicking through his showbiz photos. Yeah,
Fair
Jamie
enough.
Trueblood. Unless it's like they had to invent him, and they were just, the writers of True Blood were just too good that they actually just created a true blood man.
The True Blood. Yeah.
Yeah.
Could be. That's pretty impressive stuff. They just like accidentally manifested their show into a character in the show. You know?
Whoa, yeah.
Yeah. He's like a walking tome. He's not even a person. He's just like a font of knowledge.
Yeah.
Maybe
that's why they had to cancel True Blood, as he then absorbed it and now he can walk around.
Yeah, True Blood's final episode just ends with like that man's mind expanding into an event horizon, and the lore and history of True Blood, all your favorite characters, all your friends, get sucked into it, through his eyes, and they just form a new universe within True Blood, and that's when history repeats infinitely, and we just that's just reruns right there. So
whoa,
that's True Blood.
Yeah.
Spoilers. Sorry for anyone that hasn't seen.
What would be amazing is if then, because you know that whole thing about Saint Elsewhere, and every TV show is actually contained in the mind of that boy. Have you heard about this?
No, I have not heard about that. But I believe it.
I think, yeah, it's like the end of some soap opera called, I think, Saint Elsewhere. It ends with it zooming out and being all in the snow globe of this young boy, and all in his imagination. But because that show crossed over with many other shows that crossed over with many other shows, it means like half of every TV show, including like Law and Order and all that, and weirdly like Seinfeld, is all part of the same universe within this boy. Yeah. Wow. So what would be amazing is if one day that boy grown up has to then fight Jamie Trueblood to like release their universes.
Oh man, that could well happen. That's going to be the MCU of like daytime television from 1980. Like everything's going to collide together. It's all been building up to this. All of TV has been building to this one climactic moment that Disney is going to provide for us.
Yeah.
Oh god.
The TV non-cinematic universe.
Exactly. The old free-to-air universe that people aren't talking about enough.
No.
Damn.
So we're about like 2 seconds into this film.
Definitely, yeah. I've got to get to my next note here on my list and notes. This film, another little credit that I caught here in the intro, this film's got music by Tangerine Dream, Gareth.
Yes.
What? I watched this movie blind and like I went in with the Floyd playing, so I heard exactly 0 Tangerine Dream. How's the soundtrack? How is it?
It's very sparse, honestly,
Yeah.
because I didn't realize it was Tangerine Dream until after I'd seen it. Genuinely, I felt like, and please, I know I'm like, in terms of having good taste, this makes me wrong. The whole time, I just felt like it was the intro riff to Welcome to the Jungle was playing, but they
Whoa.
were never going to kick off into the like, Welcome to the Jungle
Just
part. So
every time.
yeah,
That
I
was
was
my
just getting Guns N' Roses edged, really.
yeah. Damn, that's a good bit. Oh.
Edge Cool Rose.
Oh, damn.
The only thing better would have been if for the whole time it sounded like When the Streets Have No Name.
That would be
Because
better.
obviously U2's guitarist
Man, just get
is a man who calls himself the Edge.
He's the edge. I'm on the edge. That's a bit from another show. I can't do that. But yeah, so we'll talk about the film. Let's do it. Oh man. Yeah, there's a dude just driving along. Here's our boy, Caleb. He's wearing a big old cowboy hat. You're still trying to make your big hat happen, by the way. Is this a thing? You like at last summer you were trying to make big hats happen, and now you're bringing them back and having your cool big hat again. I guess it's winter now, so you probably won't be wearing as big a hat. Or maybe you'll go bigger.
It still like would make sense. Like I've got my essentially a primary school sun hat that I wear all the time. Like in the summer.
Yeah.
And I love it, and a lot of people hate it.
Oh.
Yeah. And then I used to have a bright orange sun hat, but I never wore that, so I donated it. And then I've been borrowing Maddie's big round hat. I think it's definitely come up on the show quite a few times. But interestingly, I did start wearing that initially around when we started the show. So that's some more Van Helsing.
Oh man, there you go. You were ready.
But yeah.
I
think I will. I definitely do wear it, but I worry about being the Van.
Yeah, we're all worried about being the Van.
Yeah.
He goes through the ringer in that film, and I don't want that for me. Frankenstein gets trapped in some ice. That's not good. Anyway. So he rocks up to like a bar or something, and then has like a little playful Western guy fight with a guy that he knows here. They're just having a wee drink out here by the truck, and who should they see but a young blonde lady out here in the night, and they all look at her. They say, "Feast your eyes, boys." They just all like stare at her. I guess this is like a small town Texan thing to do. But yeah,
probably the first woman they've ever seen that they didn't know for like their whole lives.
Maybe, yeah. But yeah, she's just out here vibing and eating soft serve. That's like what she's up to. So our boy Caleb goes over and asks for a bite of her ice cream, which is pretty forward, guy. Come on, man. That's like not going to work on the. That's a power move. That's a flex.
Yeah, his moves are way off this whole time.
He sucks.
Yeah.
But yeah, she
he does.
She introduces herself. Her name's May. She's from a nearby town in Texas, Sweetwater, Texas, which I believe is a real place, but I don't know for sure. I've never been to Texas. You been to Texas?
Sweetwater. I've never been to Texas.
All right, that's fine. We'll get there someday.
But I have not messed with it, so you know.
No, I'm never gonna mess with Texas.
Oh.
No, it's too big. Too big a place. Don't fight me, Texas.
Could squash me.
I want to come visit. We want to do St. Floyd on tour in Texas. It'd be great.
Exclusively a Texas tour.
Yeah. The Texas tour. Yeah. St. Floyd Texas tour. It's great. We just like form a belt that goes all the way across Texas with our travel path. Yeah. She's here with her friends, and we get into On the Run, and Caleb gives her a lift home in his little truck. They do a lot of like stopping and starting on the way because Caleb thinks this is like a booty call kind of situation, and she is like, "Nah, man, that is not what is happening." Like she stops the car the first time because she's like, "Look at the night. Isn't the night dark? Isn't it more dark? I mean, near dark out here." Goodness me, it's dark, but it's also so bright. It's like, all right, what does this mean? It's very strange. She's a little bit like hippy dippy looking at the stars and stuff, but it's fair enough. Caleb is unperturbed.
Yeah, she's dropping all kinds of like weird, mysterious stuff. Like,
yeah,
when these light of these stars reach here in 1 billion years, I'll still be here. And he's just like, duh, pretty lady.
pretty much, yeah. She's like, she asks him to try and listen to like hear the night. Basically, everything that she says could be Adele lyrics, and they would be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. He does not care. She's like talking about how she's like basically immortal. Like, like, when these stars burn out, I'll still be here. Again, more Adele lyrics. Yeah. And he's like, I ain't met a girl like you before. I'm out here trying to get some soft serve. That's my Texan. I'm never allowed in Texas after that.
Dang. Sorry, guys. Tour's cancelled.
Tour's cancelled.
Send back the merch.
Yeah, send the merch. Oh, God. The Sync Floyd Texas tour. It's like a big... it's our logo, but there's a big Texas cycling in and out behind it. Very good. We get the crash sound in On the Run here as well. It doesn't really align with anything other than like getting back in the car, which is whatever. Puts on some country rock on the radio, or just country music that we don't get to hear, presumably by Tangerine Dream, just doing a bit of country. I don't know. And then they drive. Caleb's got a surprise location for them to drive to. They hop out of the car as all the clocks go off. Again, not really a sync, but that's what happens. And he shows her his big white horse that he's got out there. The horse like goes fucking nuts at her presence. Very scary. Very scared of this tiny blonde lady. He's like, get out of here, you silly beast. And then he like lassos her as like a pickup move that I guess would work quite well in Texas. Probably contextually, I think this would work. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it's so fun to mime lasso people.
Yeah.
So
this dude's got an actual lasso, which like adds definite credence to his move here. For sure.
It's definitely creepy though.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
They're like alone out in the middle of nowhere. They've just met.
Yeah.
It's like very weird. Let me tie you up. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, she pulls him in because she's very strong. Very, very strong for such a small lady. And goes in for a big kiss. And but she's really worried about the time, and time is playing, mate. We're in time. There's a lot of talk about time all of a sudden, mid-time. She's like saying, we're running out of time. And Caleb's saying we got plenty of time because time is still playing. So, yeah, it's fine. Everyone's fully aware that Pink Floyd's time is currently playing over the airwaves. I guess she just wants to get home before dawn is my thoughts here. And we like, as if to like cue this, we hear a rooster crowing, or at least it's described on screen for me. Like it's quite funny, like that. In case you didn't put that together, they're like, here's an extra little note for you to pick it up. But anyway,
it's probably buried deep in the mix, but because we don't get any subtlety with our subtitles.
No, it's just like big all caps rooster. Like it's like, all right. I get it.
Even though you can't spell subtitle without subtle. They don't know how to do it.
It's so true. So true. If only they were more subtle. Oh, never mind. She's like worried about getting home before anyone notices, and Caleb's like still trying it on with her, basically. I feel like they've been driving for like hours at this point. And he's like still trying to put the moves on
sun's about to come up.
Yeah.
We'll get to this later, but it feels like the sun is always like 4 minutes away.
Yeah, basically. It's this we're always near dark at the end of near dark could apply to early evening or early morning, either side and we're always taking place in that exact location and that exact point in time. So there you go.
Yeah, maybe this film's set in like we think it's like Texas or Oklahoma, but it's actually like set in like very high parts of Sweden in the summer.
Whoa.
And we're actually only getting like a 10-minute actually nighttime.
Quite possible. I doubt it, but it's possible for sure.
I mean, we again couldn't hear the accent, so we just assumed they were southern.
south of Sweden, a southern Sweden film. Yeah, little did we know. They got cowboys up there, probably.
Yeah, well, they've got cows and boys.
Yeah. Cows and boys. That's all the ingredients you need.
Yeah.
To make a cowboy. Oh, man. But yeah, like, his final move here is he just stops the car and basically is like, right, I demand a kiss before driving any further. If you want to get home, you got to give me a big old smooch, girl. It's no good. Weird move. It's the worst. But she's like, all right. And so we go slow motion, and she goes in for the kiss perfectly in time with Time Solo starting up.
Yes.
Which is like, whoa. Watching the like slow-mo kiss happen over Time Solo, very good. That was working for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she goes in for this kiss and then, moves and bites his neck because she's secretly a vampire and draws blood. And he's like, what the fuck? And she jumps out of the car, still in slow motion, and like runs away. And instead of fucking driving his car after her, which he's already in, he hops out of the car and like races after her on foot. What the hell, man? That's poor decision making. You're in a car. What?
Yeah, save yourself the trouble.
Like, if you wanted to chase someone down after they've bitten your neck, and you're sitting in a car and they're running away on foot, like, I don't know. It seems like a real easy decision to like hit the gas to me, but
yeah,
whatever. I don't know. So luckily this is explained in the movie in that like after running away and chasing after her, he gets back to the car and it's out of gas or something, or he just can't use it because he decides to like walk home. He's been driving with her for so bloody long that his car's out of gas. So, all right. I don't know what the move was. Like, if this car ran out of gas exactly here, or maybe it's just like a shitty car that broke because he like stopped here and demanded a kiss. I don't know.
Yeah, his car's like built in with like his disapproving parent.
Yeah.
Like, stop that if he gets a kiss, he's not allowed the car anymore.
Yeah. That's it, son. I'm revoking your privileges. It's me, the ghost of your mum, inhabiting this car. Notably,
it's where that never comes up, the ghost car.
Yeah, that's for a different story. That's in More Dark, the sequel to Dark. But yeah. So yeah, he just sort of like walks back across the deserts and the fields or whatever all the way home. But he's like falling over and stumbling around and not looking so good. And over this, Pink Floyd sing "Hanging On in Quiet Desperation," that line, which is pretty sweet. But yeah, he starts like burning up in the sun. Starts like smoking out of his clothes. I quite like this effect. The way that they handled this is very impressive. This element to becoming a vampire. I feel like I haven't seen a movie do it this way before, but it's done quite believably, weirdly, right up until the end. But we'll get there. So yeah, we go and see his young sister and his dad, Loy, working on the farm. His dad's doing some like doctor work on a sheep or something. He's like a farm veterinarian kind of guy, I think.
Yeah.
And he's like stumbling through this field as we get into Great Gig. And what should happen now, though, as his like little sister spots him across the field, is like, look, it's Caleb. He's come back after a night out on the town. And Great Gig starts up, and the bloody Breaking Bad RV just rolls in.
Yeah.
Just like swoops like straight up the RV from Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
And it just drives up to Caleb, and people just scoop him into it and drive away. And yeah, Loy and Sarah, like the little kid, chase after the RV again on foot when they have two perfectly good cars in the background of this shot. Like, what on earth is going on in Texas where no one will use their cars, Gareth?
Yeah.
I'm so angry about this. I know it's just like horror movie logic, I guess, but it's just like, man, don't put a car in the shot. It's that was easy, guys. Oh, man. It was very frustrating.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Like, what bigger emergency are you saving this car for?
I don't know. They're going to get used to it. It's only later on where they realize that they have a car that they're like, all right, let's do a slow chase across the country. Like, across the state, rather. So silly. So yeah, we've got the nasty vampire lads in this RV, this Breaking Bad RV, and they're holding guns to Caleb's head and like threatening him, and they're really upset because May's turned this guy. They've waited too long, and he's already turned into a vampire. And so he has to come with them. And so they drive into like a sort of like airplane hangar kind of place, and they all rest up there for the night. And May gives Caleb a big old cuddle and says it's all going to be all right. It's like, all right. We see that the police get called, and he's just like, yeah, all right, well, we'll go looking for that boy, but don't know what we can do. Police are particularly useless in this film.
Yeah, for sure.
We meet some of the crew here. We've got a little kid vampire, which is always a good bit, like interview with a vampire, all that stuff. We've got Homer is this little boy vampire. He's about like 8 years old or something, or like maybe like early, maybe like 11, 12 actually. Still young, but he's like an old man inside a little kid's body because he's a vampire, obviously. And we've got Jesse Hooker, who is the like patriarch of these vampires, like the leader type. He's got a big old scar on his face. He's looking like the main replicant in Blade Runner. I don't know if it's the same guy, but I think it is. It definitely looks like him.
Or a bit like Bill from Kill Bill.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Like if he was Unkillable Bill.
Unkillable Kill Bill.
Yeah.
Kill Bill 2, Bill can't be killed.
Yeah.
And yeah, we've also got Diamondback, who is a lady here with like huge bouffant kind of blonde hair. She's great, covered in tattoos. And
also looks like a replicant, to be honest.
Definitely, yeah. Strong replicant vibes. And Severin, who is like a Dee Dee Ramone, like evil punk rock vampire. Like this is going to sound so mean, like a dirtier Dee Dee Ramone, but a cleaner Julian Casablancas. So true, man, fully accurate. I feel like Julian Casablancas definitely modeled some of his like mid 2000s looks on this movie, because like
for sure,
it's like the exact look that he's replicating there. Weird character to choose and base an aesthetic off, honestly. Severin is direly unlikable throughout this film, but fair enough. He
definitely, like, some of the stuff I've seen about this film is people have pointed, like, they all love this character so much.
Man.
Even though, I don't get it. And, like, even to the point where he's the guy on the poster, even though he's quite a minor character.
Yeah. He's like a punk rock asshole who like doesn't take no for an answer and just sort of does whatever he wants. He's treating this film like a playground, basically. And having a whale of a time. Actors clearly loving the role, like having a great time with it. Like, kicks ass. Probably the best performance in the movie, which is maybe why he's the poster. But as a character, holy shit, this guy sucks. Like, damn. Possibly why this film wasn't like a huge hit. I don't know. It's like a sleeper cult classic kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they like we meet all these guys, and he's got to prove himself worthy to join the crew. He's got a week to do it, and we get into money, and they all drive off in the RV, and they switch cars. So they like steal a car from a used car lot and burn the RV down with with some fire. I don't know. All this stuff is really dark and really difficult to see. This is not near dark. This is fully dark. Like I can't tell what is happening in most of these shots.
Yeah.
Sort of
Don't watch this film. Don't watch this film on a sick day with the curtains open.
No, man.
You will, have no idea what's
you
going on.
have a tough time. But yeah, they've got like BMX bikes and stuff on the roof rack of this new car. They're just having a good old time. Yeah, Caleb's just like upset. He's a cowboy out of his element, and he just wants to go home. And he's like, all right, I've had fun with you weird people, but I'm gonna go home now and see my family. And May's like, oh, I'll see you soon, LOL. And so he's sort of like, we have a weird sequence here where he like stumbles through town and like tries to buy a bus ticket to get home. And like can't afford it. He's got $11 and the ticket's 13. And he like buys a candy bar, but he can't eat it because he's a vampire and he doesn't like the taste of food. And then this guy like appears behind him, and it turns out he's like an undercover cop or like an off-duty cop.
Yeah.
This dude like mean mugs him for like ages because I guess he's like a dirty looking sick boy. And he's like, this guy's clearly on drugs.
Yeah.
And yeah, so he like looks him over and like sees that he's got blood on him and stuff. And he's like, man, I just want a ticket home. I just want to get the bus home. And good guy cop here bloody gives him the money to go home and sends him on his way. Doesn't like book him for drugs or anything. Like it's just like, all right, son, you seem all right. Here's $2 or whatever you needed to get home. Good on him. Like, shout outs to this guy. I judged him too harshly by his like mean mug initially, but turns out to be a boss. Like,
yeah, well, when we first see this cop, Pink Floyd do sing "It's a Crime," so I have to agree that I got a bad fight.
He was just, as well. He was just attuned to the Floyd. His cop sense was a tingling, and he's like, a crime in my jurisdiction, and he just like head on a swivel spots this boy. Yeah, that must be it.
Yeah, but luckily, due to him hearing the Pink Floyd, he realizes that money is the true evil. And this bus driver not letting the boy onto the bus.
Here we go.
Just because of money? That's not okay.
All the lessons. There you go. Deep in the mix that Floyd brings out,
Yeah.
Love it. Yeah, so we get into Us and Them, and he's like stumbling around on the bus, and he's like, oh, you gotta let me off. Like as if he's like drunk off his face, and he's like dribbling this like gross gunk out of his mouth. We get a couple of like transitions. He's like walking along outside, stumbling around, falling over, and we get like full on like wipe transitions right to left across the screen for this, which is very weird. Just like watching Star Wars all of a sudden. But yeah, all of a sudden he's bloody back at the aircraft hangar where May was. He's like found his way back here despite getting on a bus out of town. He's been sucked back with the power of the suck, the vampire. It's just been brought all the way back. And he's like stumbling over, and she like bites her wrist and lets him have a wee drink from it. Now this sequence, she like does this, and like he's like kneeling in front of her, and then this transitions to them like making out. It's very sexual, this whole thing. This is the sexual Vampire Diaries in full effect. Like, this is the effect.
Honestly, pretty uncomfortable. Like, you could play this to people if you're trying to teach kids about abstinence.
Yeah, for sure. It's pretty gross. Just like drinking from her wrist, and it's like, ooh, I don't know. She like he gets all like high off of this as well. Like it's a drug that that he's hitting from, and then like she repeats her line from earlier about the dark being so bright that it'll blind you, and then they just sort of like run out into the night. It's like, what the fuck? What is happening here? But back at the old ranch, Caleb's dad, Loy, is here, and he wakes up after having a wee nightmare about his son getting all hot and heavy with a blonde chick, and he's not about that. And he gets up and goes and sees his daughter, and she's also having nightmares, and they're like, right, let's go and find our son, our friend Caleb. Let's go find him. Go find your brother. They go to the policeman. And he says, well, it's sort of a cold case. We have no idea where he's gone. I do like the shot of this police guy because it's like the classic like Venetian blind behind him and the light coming through. Like you can't see his face at all. It's very noir. I'm very into this.
Lots of cigarette smoke. Like you can smell it coming through the screen.
It's real nice. I wish there were more of this kind of detective-y stuff because it's just the kind of thing that I love. But anyway, so Lloyd takes it into his own hands. So he goes and asks around at the gas station. I get a specific subtitle on my screen telling me that there's no dialogue for this. Don't even think about it. It's like, don't even trip, mate. Don't worry about missing any dialogue. Us subtitlers haven't screwed up, all right? It's perfect. So good. And this is over the good manners don't cost nothing ad-lib as well, when he's just asking around at the gas station, looking for the good manners, the good helpers out there. Also, that little sequence plays out perfectly over the length of that ad-lib. And as we cut back to the song, of the song Us and Them, we get cut to the next scene, which is real nice. Caleb tries to call home from a payphone but gets no answer because obviously Loy and Sarah are out looking for him. And then he goes walking past some like trucks and stuff, and he says that he feels this like weird thing going on inside him, and May's like, it's all right, just embrace it. I'm watching out for you, everything's gonna be fine. She's this weird combination between like love interest and like maternal watcher for him. She's like his mother but also his lover, which is very uncomfortable for vampires. I don't know, it's a weird dichotomy.
This is something when you dive as deep into the to the sexy vampire world as I accidentally did this week. I keep bumping up against like, but you're not really that old, you're actually like ancient and stuff like that. Which this movie goes out of its way to point out that May was only bitten 4 years ago.
It's fine. It's fine. Yeah, don't worry.
Ever so slightly older than him, but she still immediately takes on maternal kind of vibes.
Yeah, it's also messed up because they revealed that she was like bitten while she was still in high school. So it's kind of like she is presenting as a high school kid, but that's still fine for Caleb to hit on her out in the middle of the night. Like, I don't know, man. That's pretty bad.
Absolutely, because
even
the film
if she is like 25 on the inside, it's still like, not great.
Nope.
Yeah. Anyway. So now it's time for Caleb to like prove himself, kind of. He's got to learn to kill. So we get a couple of like a sort of montage thing cutting between all the different characters that we've met and showing how all the other vampires show like how they do it. We see Homer lying on the ground, pretending as if he's a kid who's fallen off his BMX, and like a kindly old man comes over to check on him, and then obviously gets bitten.
And this just misses Pink Floyd's lyric, "The old man died."
Yeah, so close. We see Severin doing a bit of hitchhiking. He's like going for like full greaser. He's in like different costume. Tried to make himself like very presentable, and gets picked up by a couple of ladies, which presumably he devours. I don't know. Anyway, we don't really
we
see
spared
very
that
much.
at least.
We get Diamondback and Jesse together, who are like driving along and like reminiscing about how they met like 100 or so years ago or whatever. And they pick up a hitchhiker as well, but this hitchhiker turns out to be robbing them. Here's a partner who pulls a gun on them, and they just sort of stop and smile. And it's like, yeah, well, we know how this is gonna go. Again, all of this stuff is implication. But then we cut to, we see that May and Caleb have been also picked up as hitchhikers, similar to Severin's method, and they're just hanging out in the cab of a big truck with this guy, this truck driver guy, who is great. He's bloody bopping to some music, and he's loving life as a truck driver. Fucking love this guy.
Yeah.
As soon as I saw him and saw his demeanor, I was very sad that he was gonna die. I was like, I instantly fell in love with him. He's like teaching them how to like brake in a truck, and I'm like paying rapt close attention to this man. I'm like,
it's a 4-minute instructional video on how to correctly brake a truck.
Yeah. You see, the truck's got 2 brakes. It's got one that you got it with an air brake, and you got to hit that. And if you don't hit that first, you'll jackknife. And it's like, all right. It's a very detailed description, which is enjoyable. Yeah. But anyway,
it's a bloody Chekhov's truck, but you know.
Yeah.
I feel like most Chekhov-y things never go that far into detail.
Well, they kind of have to. I guess they have to explain how it works. I don't know. It's not really vital to how the truck pays off, but it's all right. But yeah,
gives us more time with this man.
I'm fine with it. Caleb does his like weird, creepy stare as if he's about to lean over and bite the truck driver, but can't do it. Gets him to pull over and jumps out the car and like stumbles away all sick. And the truck driver jumps out the car and goes to check on him because he's such a nice guy. He's like, oh man, you're really sick. I'm so sorry, man. And it's like, oh, I love this guy. And May's like, well, I guess you're not going to do it. So she does the bite herself. She bites into the truck driver man's neck, and Caleb does his weird like feeding from her wrist again.
Yeah.
He's such a little wimpy vampire baby. Like, the fact that he can't do his own kill, it's like, come on, Caleb. Step it up, mate.
Yeah, because it's like the movie's setting a very strong moral like line in the dirt that like he's not killing, he's not a killer. But then like May is killing left, right, and center, and then the film's but she's cool.
Yeah, but she's fine, yeah. It's all good. She's a hot blonde. We just have to accept that she also murders people out of necessity.
Yeah.
But yeah.
This feeding scene as well, extra creepy because those like big oil riggy things, those like the little drinking birds that they used to find oil.
The drinky birds of oil.
The drinky birds of oil are just going ham in the background of this. Yeah. And like... Yeah, they're thrusting into the ground. He's sipping on some blood. She's having a good time. And it's again,
very Pink
play
Floyd-y.
this at your... actually. Yeah, actually, save this for your Pink Floyd tribute act concert. Play on the screens behind you.
Yeah, for sure. They're all about this industrialization. Is that a thing? No. Industriousness. Yeah, I feel like you could see like oil rig, like oil tanker things. What are these called? I don't know. They're like the drinky birds. They could have them in a Pink Floyd video, and I would not think that amiss at all.
Yeah. Do you know what it is? It's because they look like big hammers, and obviously Pink Floyd love a big hammer.
They do. They do love a big hammer. Yeah, that's fair. So the crew of bloody... Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I'm getting back to it. Yeah, the crew are bloody pissed off. They're upset that he's failed the test. He can't do a kill, and they're trying to debate whether or not he gets a second chance. And he has to make a kill tonight, otherwise things are going to get real bad for him. Because it's sort of implied here that because they're immortal vampires, they could like lock him in like an Iron Maiden and he'll just like suffer forever or something like that. They'll do some kind of like eternity torture to him, which is pretty messed up.
Because none of these bros are that chill. They're going to do that.
Definitely not. These guys are the least chill people.
Yeah.
But yeah, as we finish up, we're in Eclipse as they are talking about this, and as Eclipse ends, they roll into a bar for the start of effectively the climax of the movie takes place in this bar here. We get into like playthrough 2, and Severin is just being a real arsehole as soon as he walks into this bar, knocks over a guy's shot, orders, he's like, hey, you're all right, man, I'll get another one, give this guy another drink, and then demands that he pay for it. Like, I don't know if you know how commerce works, Severin, but yeah, like, he's like, well, if he's not going to drink it, I guess I better drink it. And so he drinks the replacement shot. And then this trucker hat guy is like really pissed off and goes over and like goes to punch him. And Severin uses Caleb as like a human shield to just take the punches. And he's just such a dick. And then, like, Caleb is like, go on, Caleb, show him what you got. And Caleb, like, throws one punch at this guy and, like, sends him flying because he's got that vampire strength now. This trucker hat goes flying onto the pool table in the background, knocking him out cold. Meanwhile, like, Jesse and the rest are just hanging out over in a booth, just chilling. And a waitress comes over and they ask her for just a glass, and then they cut her throat with a switchblade and like drain her blood into the glass for them all to drink from. It's fucked up. This bartender is looking like everyone in the bar has like frozen and is just watching this play out. Like they are pieces on a game board just waiting to get taken at this point.
Ooh, very nice.
Yeah, it's ruthless. Jesse gets up and like shuts the door to the bar. He's like, no one is getting out of here. The bartender is like sort of filling a shotgun from behind the bar, like trying to get that because he's got a bar full of vamps and he's got to get rid of them. You know, he's seen Van Helsing. He knows what's up.
Yeah.
Severin goes over and picks a fight with another guy, like a bandana guy. And this guy like starts strangling him, which Severin really enjoys, and like takes his sunglasses off mid-strangle and puts them on himself, which I love that as a power move. I just think that's great.
That's so cool. And that sweet sunglasses switch happens as Breve segues into On the Run.
Yeah, real nice.
Yeah.
And then, he, like, turns this strangling around and squeezes this man's head until, like, he breaks bones, I think, with his vampire strength. It's pretty gnarly.
This is so gnarly.
This whole scene is a lot to deal with. He's, like, now covered in blood. And, like, drinks this guy's blood from his neck. And he's like, I hate it when they don't shave. Which is really weird. Like, the fact that it's something that I guess I never would have thought about, it being a vampire, that you don't really get to choose your prey that often, right? So he's just, like, drinking from the necks of these stubbly dudes all the time.
Yeah.
That mustn't be
getting rashes everywhere.
Yeah, poor Severin. He's like, his face routine must be a nightmare. God damn.
Especially because any glimpse of sunshine burns his face like raw. And he's rubbing it against stubble.
Oh, the worst. He's got very sensitive skin, Severin. That's a little fact that we didn't get to see very much in the movie. A notable Clearasil advocate, Severin. Get him. He's on
actually always got like cucumbers and face masks on every time we don't see him in shot.
I believe it. Every time he's off screen. I would like him a lot more if that were the case. If we caught him just like doing more like idle tasks, you know, I find him a lot more relatable and friendly instead of just being
Instead, I just wondered if it was like a part of vampire lore I was missing in the film that they can't bathe.
Yeah. He's super gross.
Yeah.
He's a very disgusting man. But yeah, maybe there
Same
was like
Jesse.
a point where Caleb goes to take a bath and he like starts boiling the water or something. Like that could be like a cut content, a cut scene from the film. I could really see that. Yeah.
Yeah. Or this part of Texas, all of their pipes just contain a little too much holy water, so no one who lives there can shower.
Yeah, it could be. It's just the Holy Land.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, yeah.
Do you reckon that comment's going to uncancel our Texas tour?
Don't think so. We've got a long road to hoe here, I think, to get back into the heart of our core Texan audience. Take us back, please.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to visit Texas. I would love to. Just figure it out. What's going on? What's going on, Texas? That would be my main question on the tour. Let's start every show.
People think you're doing it. Yeah. People think you're doing it as Texas, what's going on? But no. Then you just sit quietly and wait for an answer.
Yeah. Just wait. That's my only contribution to our whole tour. I just sit there in a chair, and you're like vamping and doing bits and stuff, and I'm just like, no, I want to hear what they have to say, Gareth. Would you quiet down,
At one
please?
point, you silently get up, unplug my microphone, and then turn your microphone to face the crowd and just be like, well, Texas?
Well, what have you got to say? Huh? What's happening?
What is going on?
We're never going to Texas at this rate.
No.
Yeah, so basically it's just the bartender and another guy left, the pool player guy. And the bartender is like, oh, shit, things are popping off. We get into On the Run, and he pulls out the old shotgun and shoots Caleb in the stomach, even though he hasn't done anything wrong. But Caleb is fine. He sort of shrugs it off because he's a immortal being, so he's all good. And yeah, like Severin like jumps up on the bar and is like smashing glasses, kicking stuff all over the place as the bartender like is backing up and trying to reload his shotgun, terrified, just like taunting the shit out of him. And he slits the bartender's throat with the spurs on his cowboy boots, which is, again, a pretty sick move from, like, a complete douche. But like, that's pretty cool. That's a scene that you want in a cowboy in a vampire western, right? Like,
yeah, I reckon that was probably her, like, Catherine Bigelow's big western idea that she wanted to make.
Yeah.
And then she had to, like, figure out how to vampire this.
Yeah, that scene, this bar scene, I think sells it in the room. She probably like had this in storyboards and then is like, this is what I want to make. And people were like, yep. The people at Dig were just like, here's the money.
Dig?
Here's our Dig money. Like, I don't know.
Dig.
Yeah. The trucker hat guy from earlier wakes up, the guy who got punched out. And he gets shot in the back by Homer. Little Homer with a little pistol. So they've killed everyone in the bar except for this one guy who's playing pool. And May goes over to him and like pulls him over to dance with her to some country music that's playing. And he's like dancing around with her and crying. And it's rough stuff. He's like whimpering. And we're into time already by this point. This is a really long scene. She says, she like sort of indicates to Caleb that this one's for him to kill because it's the only one left. And this guy sort of puts two and two together and he's like, oh, fuck this. And he does a full jump out a window, leaps through a glass window, loved it, and runs away. And so the vampires in the background stay and light the bar on fire, covering their tracks, and like throwing bottles of spirits around as Molotov cocktails. And they're having a grand old time. They're celebrating their victory basically over this place. Caleb catches the guy running away, who like pleads that to let him go, and Caleb lets him go. He lets him run off because again, he just like can't bring himself to kill someone or feed on them, as the vampire code dictates. And yeah, so it's like, all right, he failed again, and the vampires are again pissed at him, and they've got to drive back to the place where they're staying, the like aircraft hangar.
Yeah.
And they're racing home to avoid the sun. I do like that they're like blacking out their car as they go to sort of protect themselves from the rising sun. I find this interesting. They've like got like foil and masking tape, and they're trying to like black out all the windows.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. It's really nifty, like
yeah,
almost Mad Maxian kind of thing.
Very good like world building-y stuff, which I'm into.
Yeah.
It would be really hot in this car if they were trapped in it. Like, it would be a nightmare. There's like 6 people in this car, or 5 people in this car, all hanging out. And they're all crammed in there. They've covered all the windows in foil, and they're in the middle of Texas. Like, goddamn, that's an oven. Like,
yeah.
Terrible.
I don't get it. Like, if you're a vampire, why would you be hanging out in the South where it's like extra hot and extra sunny?
Yeah, man.
Like, we all know the best place to go is Forks, Washington.
Yeah. Go up to Sweden.
Yeah.
The south of Sweden is the perfect place. Would have been fine. Never mind. But yeah, they're worried because they're like, not only because the sun is creeping up, but because the police are hot on their tail because they've done like 5 murders or whatever. And so they pull into the aptly named Hideaway Motel here, and we get Jesse going in to rent one of this man's bungalows, which I very much enjoy his like specificity on that. And the guy like recognizes him. He's like an old man who's woken up early in the morning to like serve a customer, and he's like, "What? Haven't you come through here before?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, I come through here once every 50 years or so," which is another great bit for a vampire. I love it. And yeah, so they're all chilling in this bungalow. Homer's sleeping in the bath, which I think is really funny. And yeah, they're all snoozing when the police are outside. They've tracked them down to the Hideaway Motel, so they've failed there. And the kid from the bar is with them. He's found the police. He's like, "That's where the vampires went. That way." And so yeah, they've like surrounded this bungalow. But of course they aren't really afraid of the police, but they are afraid of the daylight. So they're sort of trapped in here. And so they load up with all these guns that they have. I don't know why they're so well armed as vampires, but they are. They've just got huge amounts of guns. I guess it's Texas, but you know.
Yeah.
And they put on like Mad Max goggles and stuff as well. Jesse has these like goggles with a nose attachment, which I thoroughly enjoy.
Yeah.
They're nearly like Groucho Marx glasses. They're only missing the moustache. I really love it.
He had to take that off. People weren't taking him seriously enough in the shootouts.
I'm a scary vampire. I've got a rat tail. All right.
Oh, his rat tail we haven't discussed.
No, well, we haven't seen it yet, but yeah, he's got this gross rat tail, which is only revealed in one shot, but I was like, what? He instantly lost so many levels of credibility for that rat tail. I was like, man, I was so scared of you, and now I'm like a lot less scared of you.
Yeah. Well, this actor, Lance Hendrickson, I believe. So he did a lot of his own kind of, like method stuff for this role. Like he apparently just went out in the day and just like dressed himself up as a Civil War soldier, because that comes up later.
Whoa.
That he was in the Civil War.
Yeah.
And just like, you know, ran around like a weirdo. And then like...
Method.
Yeah, at one point he got like picked up as a hitchhiker and scared the guy and then gave him $80. So he went full method. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is just his rat tail that he grew, and like Catherine Bigelow was like, "I don't want this rat tail in shot. I'm going to try to hide it as much as possible."
You will only face the camera, sir. I don't want to see your rat tail. I don't care what journey you had. Goodness me. Amazing.
Yeah. He ruins every other shot except for one where he gets to turn his rat tail around.
Yeah. You see, if he's trying to get away, if the sun's out and he's trying to like run away from me, you just grab his rat tail and then he's not going anywhere. You know? It's a leash on him. Yeah. It's not a good one. Anyway, we get a gunfight. They're shooting out the windows and out through the doors and stuff, and this is over Great Gig for us. Shootout for Great Gig. Bit of a somber one. I don't know if that's the best song to shoot out to on Dark Side of the Moon, but who's to say?
It's definitely like if you're not trying to make your shootout seem like a cool thing. If you're trying to be like, what's with guns, man?
Yeah, what are they about? What's all this violence about? I don't know. It does have the not frightened of dying ad-lib in there, which is like pretty appropriate to a gunfight, so you know.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So as soon as they like get hit by the daylight, again they start like smoking, because some of the old vampires, some of the like older ones, just burst alight like instantly.
Yeah.
They catch fire, which is like awesome. I was really shocked to see this. I was like, hell yeah. That's some like, they're very fragile, these vampires.
Yeah.
Very cool.
What does it remind you of though, this man setting alight?
Man catching fire? I don't know.
Yeah. Just the front cover of Pink Floyd's magnum opus, Wish You Were Here.
Oh, their other one. The other opus.
Yeah.
Oh man, I don't care about that. Unless the light that caught that man on fire was refracted through some kind of prism, then I'm out. You know, like I don't really care. It's just like a sequential thing for me.
I think you're onto something. That light lights that man on fire, and then in the background there's a wall.
Yeah, there you go.
Behind that wall is a cow, because there's a cow on their other albums.
It's true. Yeah.
Oh, wow. They
got a big floaty pig probably somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or is that also animals? Never mind.
No, the cow's on Atom Heart Mother.
Oh, that's right.
1970.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're fine then. It's all good. It's all connected.
Yeah.
So they move to escape. Like they send Caleb out to like go and get the car, and he like runs away with like a blanket covering him. A super cop comes out around here and snipes his legs. Shoots it, like quite a violent shot of getting like shot straight through the calf muscle and like going down. It's wild, but yeah, of course he keeps running because he's a mortal vampire. But he just starts like he catches fire, much like the Wish You Were Here album cover, and like just is running along in slow motion and gets into a car. This looks like it was done for real. This stunt, like at least a stuntman was doing it. It's pretty impressive because he's on fire for a long time as he's trying to like fumble and get into a real car. Like, goddamn, it's a pretty.
I wouldn't be surprised. People in America in the 80s and 90s loved setting people on fire. Like the Guinness World Records actually had to remove that record for like longest time spent on fire because they're like, too many people are A, breaking this, and B, hurting themselves.
Yeah, far out. It doesn't seem worth it. Don't set yourself on fire. Don't play with fire, kids. That's today's moral on Sing Floyd. Oh man. But yeah, so he gets to the car and like drives it straight into this humble bungalow and destroys it. And everyone piles into the van, into the car, and they drive out the other side.
Yes,
which I love. Instead of like backing out, you're just like, nah, we're driving straight through. So good.
Yeah.
I also really wish they kept this vehicle because it's like a black van that's like all blacked out. All the windows are blacked out from their hiding from the sun, and it just looks cool. It's way better than the Breaking Bad RV that they had and the old car that they put BMXs on top of. This is the third vehicle from the movie, and it's sweet. So, yeah, I this is my canon vehicle for the movie Near Dark.
Yeah.
Yeah. Much like the Ecto-1 in Ghostbusters or the Batmobile, this is the equivalent car for the franchise. You know?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
No, I'm for it.
Yeah, but they get away, and everyone's like, "Hell yeah, you've proven yourself, Caleb, with your daring stunt where you got set on fire. Good on you. You're one of us now." And they go switch cars again. They get rid of this van that I love so much, and then they go to another motel to hide out. And yeah, they all like pay deference to Caleb for being a good vamp man. Severin gives Caleb one of his spurs off of his boot, which I don't know about cowboy law, but that seems like a pretty big deal.
Yeah, right?
Giving another man one of your spurs, that's like, damn, that's the highest honor, surely. I don't know. Yeah, this is where we find out that Jesse fought for the South. Great stuff. Okay, weird.
Yeah, definitely was not okay at the time.
No,
and not okay now. But,
no,
you know,
definitely.
I guess
not.
He's the villain.
Yeah, he's a bad guy.
Yeah.
In case you weren't sure. And we've got Homer does the like handshake, like too slow swipe into his own hair move. Classic. It's weird that he acts like a little kid sometimes, but then other times acts like a fully grown adult. I don't know. It's a little strange.
Yeah. I don't know. I'd prefer it like if he was just straight up old man.
Yeah, it would be better if he just like kept like yelling about stuff that no one understood, like about like ancient history. That would have been way better.
Yeah.
You know,
man, this was worse than Tomley's Key. And you're like,
it's like, what the fuck is Tomley's Key? Yeah. All right, man, whatever. But yeah, we get some of the lore from May that we've covered already. She hasn't seen the sun in 4 years, and she was again high school age, which is kind of messed up. When she turned, and it was Homer that bit her as well, which is added layers of weird. But okay.
Would you remain friends with the one who turns you into a vampire?
I mean, it seems like they have this like coaching setup kind of situation happening. Vamps helping other vamps. So I guess I would like follow on in that way. But once I found my feet, maybe as a vamp on my own, I'd probably settle down in a castle somewhere if I could.
Yeah.
You know, like get a couple of underlings, some peons. To fetch me fresh blood, etc. I don't know, like start my own vamp franchise.
Yeah, I mean that's the vamp dream.
I think so. Yeah, I think it's I haven't thought about it too much, but yeah, like any good startup, it's good to have a plan.
Yeah,
yeah, but yeah, like we cut back to the crew and they're like all hanging out and playing poker and stuff. Homer is smoking a cigarette, and he's a for real child actor just smoking like a real cigarette, and he goes outside and lights up another one. So we get all our smoking children stuff going on in this movie, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, you know how you've always wanted a movie with more smoking children?
Yeah. Smoking super cool.
Sorry, I hit the didn't hit the G hard enough in smoking children, and it sounded way worse. I'm sorry.
Smoking
children. Yeah.
Yeah, that ain't.
Sorry.
That ain't.
Anyway,
that ain't ideal. But yeah.
No.
Yeah. So he hears someone on his second cigarette of the night. He goes out and hears someone get at the Coke machine getting a drink, and who should it be? But it's little Sarah, Caleb's sister, out here. And he like has a wee chat with her and invites her to come and watch TV with him, which is weird. This
made me very uncomfortable.
Yeah. So my interpretation of what is going on here is that Homer wants a vampire friend of his own like body type and age. Like he wants someone like similarly aged as him to become a vampire, so that it's not weird for him to be an adult man trapped in a child's body.
I like that. That's nicer then.
No, but like
the
there are added
implies.
layers of complication and implication here that like really fuck this up to so many bad levels of like nearly worse than Jesse for this. Like,
yeah,
it's pretty fucked, this whole thing. But anyway,
because he'll still always be like hundreds of years older than any other like child vampire.
Maybe it's like age is supposed to be relative if you're a vampire and you live for thousands of years or whatever, but it's still fucked up. Okay, I don't know.
Yeah,
but maybe it's not fucked up to Homer because he's just been a child for so long.
I think a lot of things that are fucked up aren't fucked up to this child murdering ancient vampire.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Makes sense. He's got a warped worldview.
Yeah.
He's
definitely the one I'd want to hang out the least, and that's including Severin.
Absolutely. Child vampire, I'm out. Like that's like an added layer of creepy that I'm not into. Like, child that knows way too much is fucking terrifying all on its own, like, regardless of the supernatural. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, it's young Sheldon is a real horror story for me.
No. That classic bit of vampire lore.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, so she gets invited in to watch TV, and they're sort of hanging out, and they find out through some like social engineering of her where she's staying, and like they send Severin off to go and find Loy, basically, who's in another room. And Caleb returns after like making out with May, presumably doing the weird like drinking from her wrist again, and it's like, oh shit, it's my little sister, and they have a like they reunite here. And then Loy is like ushered into the room. And they're like, well, this got really complicated really quick. It's like super awkward because he's hanging out with all these like terrifying punk vampires. And it's like, well, these guys kind of have to die now that they know that we're here. And Caleb's like, well, they're my family. Please do not do that. And Loy's
It's a real dichotomy that can only really be explored while listening to Pink Floyd's Us and Them.
Oh yeah, so true. So true, baby. But Loy is not ready to explore that. He just fires a shot off into Jesse, who's like stepping him out, walking up to him. And cool move by Jesse, gets shot in the chest, spits the bullet up and hands it back to him, puts it back into Loy's top pocket. Love this move. Holy shit. I don't know how that works, like, biologically, but I love it. Like, it's so cartoony. Like, I could see that happening in, like, Hellboy. It's sick. But yeah, so they're like, oh shit, well, shooting them won't work, but they get away by opening the door and the sunlight flooding in, and all the vampires are like, oh no. And Caleb rushes out with like a coat over his head, and they drive away, and the vampires are like sort of trapped in their hotel room. And Caleb like tries to explain where he's been and what's been going on the best that he can. And he's like, well, it's a fucked up situation, Dad. Here's what happened. Explains it all and like lays it all out for him. And his dad's like, well, I got to get you to a hospital. And he's like, Dad, a hospital can't fix this. And he sticks his hand out and it catches on fire.
Yeah.
It's great. Like, and then, so, they demand not to go to the hospital. And his dad takes him home and he's like, well, we can try something. And he's a simple farm doctor, man. But he performs like a blood transfusion on his son, Caleb. We get like, as much as we saw like a detailed description of breaking a truck, we see a like very detailed showing of how to do a blood transfusion with limited equipment. They do this, and we think that Caleb has died because Loy like gives him a big hug and like starts weeping over his body. And so it's very sad. He like wipes all the char and stuff off of his face and the dry blood, etc. The dirty boy vampire grossness that he's required not to get rid of. And yeah, we think he's dead. But the next morning, Sarah comes in to like check on this blood transfusion, this midnight blood transfusion, and he wakes up and he's fine, and the sun doesn't like char his skin.
Yeah.
So he's a full human man again. Now,
Yeah. How did you feel about this?
So yeah, this is an important point for me. This is a sticking point in this movie, because all it takes to stop these people from being vampires, to return them back to being human, is like a overnight, like 8-hour blood transfusion. And then you're a human again. Does this work on any stage of vampirism? Because later on, spoiler alert for the end of the movie, but we're going to get there anyway, but this happens to May as well, and she is like 5 years into being a vampire. So she's done the like kill ceremony thing as well. So, and she's just like turned into a regular human. So could it have been saved? Could this story have been saved by them being like, look, we've figured out a way to like turn you back into regular people. Let's at least offer this to all the vampires that we know. Right?
Yeah.
Like, if you want to like return to your normal life, especially Homer, who's like effectively, he could be like a child genius who could like live a regular life. I don't know.
Oh god, I don't know. I don't want to meet a 30-year-old Homer.
Yeah, it's true. It's sort of like a reverse big situation that's happening there, which is no good. But yeah, like,
but yeah, that's such a good point.
Yeah, like it could have at least give them the offer, you know, like live a mortal life and not have to like go around murdering people. I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah.
The fact that it's this simple kind of bothered me. I don't know.
Yeah, or at least like it's, you know, it only works because he hasn't done a kill yet. Or something. Like it's.
But it works on May later. Like she.
Yeah, exactly.
And she's definitely done a kill.
Yeah.
She's done more than one kill. I don't know.
It's probably my least favorite bit of this was just like, oh, sweet, easy.
Yeah.
Good.
It's too easy for sure. Maybe he has to keep doing this like every like couple of weeks, otherwise he'll go full vampire again. I don't know.
Yeah. Or it's actually turned him into like a werewolf or something.
Oh, no. Tragic.
Yeah.
But yeah, Caleb's stoked. He's got his life back, and he celebrates by carrying Sarah around on his shoulders.
Yeah.
Shirtless in a field. I guess like he's woken up from a blood transfusion and he like had his shirt off for that. So he just like like went around immediately after getting up off the hospital slab or whatever. But like it's still
I did
funny.
read that scene as I did read that scene as like 4 hours later.
Yeah, right. He's just been shirtless all day. He's just hasn't even thought about it. He's been so stoked over being a human again. Love it. But yeah, sometime later we're like gathered around the dinner table and hanging out, and Sarah goes off to bed, and Caleb's gonna go read to her, and but he hears a squeaky swing outside, and he's like, "Well, Dad, I didn't like the sound of that squeaky swing. I'm gonna go out there and oil that swing," and Loy's like, "You don't need to do that right now. That's a weird thing to do." And he's like, "Nah, I go get the WD-40. I've got to sort that swing out right now." It's so weird. The fact that he says, "I've got to go sort that squeaky swing." I'm not making that up. That's actually in the movie.
Yeah.
It's really funny. But yeah, it's spooking this old cowboy. That squeak. And he goes out there, and of course it's May out in the night, sitting on this swing, and they have a sort of like mini, they sort of have this like mini awkward moment where they're like, "Oh, don't know what's going on, what happened to you," and but then they like run in and embrace each other. They're like they actually missed each other and they care about each other. They've got this weird connection. But yeah, she notices that his skin's warm and that he's a human again, and she's like, "Well, you got to choose. You got to choose between being a vampire and being a human with your family." And honestly, that's a real easy choice. That's like, well, I've known you a week, and you kept asking me to do murders, so...
And all of your friends suck and hate me.
Yeah, so I think probably gonna chill here with my dad and my little sister, who don't ask me to do any murders.
The only thing I've got to complain about here is the squeaky ass swing.
Oh my god, it's squeaking.
And occasionally my mum's ghost in the car.
Oh, the worst. I can't sleep with this squeaky swing. And she's like, no, that was me. It's like, nah, but it must be the swing.
Why do you think I was out at the bar at the beginning of the movie? I was trying to get away from the swing.
Oh, the worst. Squeaking all damn night. Can't get a moment's peace out here in the country. You know how quiet it is in the country? All you can hear is that goddamn swing. Oh. But yeah, he goes up to... She like runs out into the night, the blinding night, and he's like, well, all right, I guess that's the end of that. And then goes to read to Sarah, but she's gone. She's been captured. Her window's open, the notorious sign of someone being kidnapped, the window being wide open. Classic. And yeah, so Caleb like races off again on foot to try and find the vamps, because he goes outside, and at least here the two cars are shown again, and we see that the tires have been slashed. Like, okay, good. At least there's an excuse for not using a car at this point in the film.
They needed to have bothered. Like, he was just going to not take it anyway.
Yeah, right? Didn't even need to look. It's not like he's ever used these. They're just like window dressing at this point. So he's like, all right, well, at least I got my big white horse. So he goes and rides that into town. Cowboy mode activate.
And
very
cool.
Yeah, he's like riding down the city streets looking for vamps, like Van Helsing. We are here in Brain Damage, and it's a good vibe. And yeah, of course, we didn't think about this through, though, because earlier in the film, the horse was super scared of a vampire, and as soon as one appears, it immediately bucks and throws him off. Severin is out here in the dark, and he picks him up and like throws him like 20 feet backwards. Very scary. And he delivers the line, "I'm gonna knock your tonsils out of your little asshole," which is quite the threat.
Yeah,
that's a lot. It's a lot to think about. It's a lot of visceral imagery from Severin here. I'm not surprised coming from him. This is what he's all about. So he runs over to like a big pickup truck, and a big actual truck, and and the driver here, I want to say that this guy is like a cameo from somebody, but he's great because he's like, you need to get out of my cab. I'm going to count to 5, sir. 5, 4, 3, 2. And then he gets shot and killed by Severin. It's like an angry, scolding dad. He's like very cartoony and great, but he's only around for a few seconds and dies. So Caleb like is now driving the truck straight towards Severin, and Severin's doing the classic Dark Knight Joker stand in the middle of the street thing. Stop trying to hit me and hit me. It just drives it. But Caleb's got the follow through that Batman didn't, and just drives straight into Severin, rolling over him in the cab. And Caleb's just like, yeah, I did it.
Easy.
I killed that mean vampire, which is great. Because he's been like avoiding murder all the film. And, and then just does this one and he feels great about it. Which is very funny. But then, Severin, of course, not dead, climbs up onto the like hood of the truck over the bonnet. Is like very scary. Half of his like face and side has been ripped off from the undercarriage of this truck. Terrifying.
Again, very Dark Knight.
Absolutely, yeah. Just like half of his face being missing for sure, so he's like jumps up onto the hood of the truck and is pulling out like wires and bits of engine and stuff,
Yeah.
like making this truck no longer truck, basically. And this is happening, and Caleb like bails out of the truck as it's driving along. Presumably there's some kind of sound cue here for him to like signal that he should jump out of this truck. Maybe he jams the brake, I don't know, following the instructions of that lovely dead truck driver. Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. But anyway, he bails out, and the Floyd boys, they sing out that they can't think of anything to say as this truck explodes. It's a huge inferno. Great explosion.
Yeah.
Yeah. We see the spur of Severin's boot fly out of the explosion and land on the pavement, and Caleb like takes his hat off and picks that up as like a sort of like weird cowboy deference to Severin. I don't know. And then yeah, it turns to walk away, but sees ahead that May and Jesse are there in their car, in the car, and Homer's in the back seat with Sarah, and they're holding her hostage. And Homer's like ready to like bite Sarah and turn her into a vamp. And she's like fighting and fending him off. And it's sort of like a Mexican standoff situation where they're like, Caleb is just walking towards them and saying like, let her go. And that's his whole move. That's kind of it. That's all he's got. But it's Sarah who just like kicks this powerful, strong vampire off of her and gets away. And Caleb just like scoops her up and like runs off. It's great. Sorry, I missed a bit before this. Diamondback like sneaks up behind Caleb and like goes to throw a knife at him, and May like calls out to him, and he swivels just in time, and Jesse catches the knife in his teeth, which is sick. And it's
so good because he doesn't do it in a cool, like, caught it perfectly way. His mouth is, like, messed up now.
Yeah, it, like, broke a lot of his teeth, I think, like, catching this knife in his mouth. But it's still very cool, that plays out. It's not quite like getting shot and then spitting up a bullet and then putting it in your dad's pocket. Like, that's still the best move of this whole film. Yeah. But yeah, they like run all the way, like he scoops her up and they run away, and like it's so funny because Caleb gets like exhausted from running carrying his sister, and like lets her go and is like, go on, go on, go. He's like, that's literally how he delivers that line, which is very funny. I went back to listen to it because it's just like cowboy rambling, like. And she like runs along, but she's only got little kid legs and gets scooped up by the vamps again. They capture her again, and he's like, "Damn it!" But
I thought that would work.
I know. Through all of this, they've delayed long enough, and now the sun is rising. So they're driving away, but they're still trying to like cover up all the windows, and like get away. But of course, Caleb is like running man in hot pursuit, $6 million man just pounding the pavement, chasing after them. And May's like, well, I see the tides are turning, and busts the back window of the car open out and throws Sarah out, and they run out the back of the car as it like turns around. Homer jumps out after them and starts chasing them down as well. But of course, we're like early morning, like sun fully risen at this point, and he starts catching fire so quick, like because he's like the oldest vampire. Presumably, I think it correlates to age how quickly they catch fire. But this dude,
I like that,
is like fully ablaze and is chasing after them. He gets like halfway there and then fucking explodes. Like seeing a child spontaneously combust is not something I expected. Like, I expected him to, like, burn to death, like a vampire. But no, he like, full-on explodes as if you, like, shot a, like, gas canister or something. It's amazing.
Yeah. Say what you will, but this has got to be the first movie we've covered where a child explodes.
That is so true. I feel like if they had the budget, Turkish Spider-Man would have tried something like this.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely the first time I've seen it. And the first time I've seen it in my real life. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Yeah. Jesse and Diamondback are also, like, driving as if to run them down. But it's too hot, and the windows of the car have all shattered, and so they catch fire, and we just see the fire, like, pouring out the open doors of the car, at the sides of the car, before it, like, careens off to the side of the road, and then also explodes.
Of course.
It's so sweet. I just love... There's a high density of explosions in the back half of this movie. It's very good. And yeah... luckily, May has covered herself by a blankie, and she is protected from the sun's rays. Because she could well explode as well. But they sort of just, like, hang out. And here at the end of the movie, she gets a little blood transfusion of her own from the vet dad. And she wakes up in our third playthrough of Breathe. And she just sort of can't believe it. We end the movie with her just sort of in disbelief, embracing Caleb and, like, hang out. She's just, like, instead of hugging him back, she's just sort of, like, looking at her hands and being like, what the fuck? Like, and the movie ends on a freeze frame and zoom in on her, like, completely confused face. Which is
such an awkward zoom as well, because it zooms on a
so
slight
weird
angle. Like, we've got to get this face.
It's the weirdest. It's the weirdest end. I can't believe... It looks like they had, like, another, like, 30 seconds of this footage of her just, like, looking at her hands and being really weirded out. And they just chose a random frame and they're like, yep, that's it. And zoomed in for another, like, 10 seconds on a freeze frame before ending the film.
Maybe it was the opposite of The Graduate, where The Graduate, they, like... kept it going and accidentally caught this amazing, like, moving moment that sums up the whole film.
Yeah.
Maybe it did. There was a moment of, like, doubt in their eyes, like, oh, now we have to hang out. Now you're human, blah, blah, blah. And, like, then in the edit, they're like, nah, too ambiguous.
I've never seen The Graduate. It can't be that. Like, we can't, like, that seems dumb. Let's just end on a freeze frame.
They wanted to end this with the daughter walking outside, the sister walking outside with them, and then her hand starting to smoke.
Oh,
and it was supposed to be this cool kind of like, oh no. But then they realized, like, oh, then she can just get a blood transfusion and be cured. So
and she'd be fine too. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is, with the very easy solution to vampirism still around. Like, your dad might need to wait a couple of days because he's probably running out of blood at this point.
Yeah, poor guy.
Yeah. Like, he's probably feeling quite woozy. But yeah, it's very funny. But yeah, that's the end of the film. A weird one. What did you think? How did it sink, Gareth?
Look, I'll say it. We've talked a lot about, we've gnashed our fangs about this movie. We've talked a lot about, this and vampires in general, and sexy vampires especially. But one thing we didn't, like, draw any blood from was Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon syncing up, really.
Yeah.
There's a couple, like, close misses. There was, Money coming up with Money. There was the guitar solo Kiss, but I don't know. What are you reckoning?
Yeah, I don't know. It's sort of a tough one to gauge, right? Like, there were definite syncs, but I feel like they weren't strong suitors, Like,
yeah. I feel like this could be a 3.
Yeah,
but I
think it's better than that. I want to say like 4-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm feeling a 4 on this.
Yeah. Because I was just thinking this might be a 3, but we've got the weight of these movies that we've given 3s to that synced worse than this.
Yeah.
So, thus, numbers work that you give it the next sequentially higher number.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Checks out.
There you go.
All right. A nice 4.
There we go.
Yeah. 4 fangs up.
4 fangs up. 4 fangs down. 30. So many. I'm so lost at the end of this film. I'm so confused.
Right.
I'm dazed and confused. That's not the film that we're doing next week. But
that's good. Now, off mic, I think last week I accidentally bullied you into choosing a film, so you don't have to choose the film that I kept bringing up.
Oh God, what was that? I can't even remember.
Free time.
What was it?
Oh, okay, that's all good then.
We can do it. I don't mind.
No. I'm not. You're free. What are we doing next week?
All right. Well, we're talking about fangs and talking about the old vamps and all those guys. And I was thinking, you know how what's the opposite of vampires? We've got the werewolves, right? And they're like canines, and they're sketchy fellas. But what's the scariest thing that we've been encountering so far in our movie watching habits, Gareth?
Ooh.
I want to say that it's Tom Hanks, our old antagonist. He's back at it again. And so we're getting the Tom Hanks, we're getting the canines, we're going Turner and Hooch next week.
Yes.
Let's see what he's... is he the villain in this one? We'll find out.
Will this movie be as unlikely appearing as Turner and Hooch were?
Possibly.
Unlikely pairing with Pink Floyd, that is? Sorry.
Possibly.
Forgot
Turner and Hooch and The Dark Side of the Moon next week.
Yeah.
Look into it.
I love it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Until then, I've been Gareth Blacklow. Consult your library about sexy vampires.
Oh, please do. Just consult me about them. I want to know more.
Ooh,
I've been James Barron, and I'm seeking the secret knowledge. That's all.
Yeah. Check out this podcast. Continue to check it out. I don't know.
Continue.
Yeah. Tell your friends. Follow us on social media by searching the name of the show and then not clicking on the band.
Oh, yeah.
That apparently exists.
Hey, shout outs to them. If we could get them to do our theme song, that'd be amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Hit us up.
I wonder if they're mad at us for fighting them on Spotify now.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. I'll try to message them on Twitter and see what happens.
Sure. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, well, gosh, until I've finished messaging them, I'll see you on the dark side of the moon.
On the dark side of the moon. Don't know who that was. That was a different version of me. Goodbye.
Yeah, another character.
Yeah, don't know. Not the vampire.
No, of course not. He's locked up.
He's dead.
Oh no!
I killed him. Van Helsing.
Him and Cockney James.
They share the grave. Goodbye.
Oh, bye.